So, hello, welcome to Fresh Aire Network Podcast Studio. I'm Kevan, Ware, CEO, founder of Fresh Aire Network and Fresh Aire Network Podcast Studios. As you know, I moved down to Atlanta a year ago, this past Monday. And what I want to do is, of course, document my experience as it relates to moving down here, being an entrepreneur, having some of these businesses that you guys may know and may not know, but also get some of the temperature and or testimonies of the individuals that I meet and, you know, revere or think that they have a valuable product or service that I think that could ideally help myself, my market, and the folks that's in my database, mostly which are entrepreneurs. How do I bring them along, but also educate and then showcase all in the same breath? So today, I wanted to introduce a friend of mine. I could say that right now. We met through a networking event. Shout out to that networking event, because that was a pretty good event. Definitely. And I had good people there, but also just document my experience. And then this brother right here has a good business that I think is underserviced, and there's not a lot of individuals that's involved in it. So without further ado, you can introduce yourself.
Definitely. It was a great introduction, by the way. You know,
yeah.
My guy Kevan, you know, we met at an event not too long ago. But one of the interesting things was like he, you know, his aura about him and the mantra that he had about, you know, being able to project people's ideas to something more visual rather than just speaking them. You know, it speaks volumes, especially in today's time. So I introduced myself. My name is Mambay. I'm the founder of the Fortune 5 agency. It's a marketing agency helping small businesses to brand and market themselves like the top companies in the world. And we specialize in helping companies build the systems that help to automate their brands and bring more people to their brands while making them look good and everything like that.
So shout out to Antoine Eckhart Chappelle. He's the one who had the networking event. You'll hear from him soon too. I think he has a valuable business that needs to be shared too. But I want to also make sure that we give people their roses and let you guys know how the origin of how I move or how I develop my relationships with folks like Mambay, but also showcase any and everything. We all need blueprints on how to go about being entrepreneurs, and I felt like the best way Fresh Aire knows how to do it is by showcasing folks and do it, you know, real world. Hopefully this is professional and educational for you guys. But without further ado, I wanted to start asking Mambay about, first of all, who are you? Meaning, you know, you obviously, it's not an American name, so you may want to clear or give people insight on that. And yeah, so who are you? How did you come to be in Atlanta? That's first of all. And how long have you been here?
Definitely. So, like I said, my name is Mambay. Definitely check the subtitles or whatever we may have for the spelling for the name. But originally my family's from Sierra Leone, West Africa. But I've been in Atlanta for the majority portion of my entire life. I truly enjoy the city, all the opportunities given, not only me and my family, but a lot of individuals that move here. And yeah, like we, you know, just like every other family moving to a different country, you always go to where the great opportunity is there. I've been blessed to be put in environments where I can meet people like my guy right here and, you know, just work on thriving and growing in not only business, but in every aspect of my life and everything like that. So overall, you know, I'm enjoying my time. I've been enjoying my time as long as we've been here, and definitely looking to help others thrive, just like how, you know, I've had the pleasure of thriving and everything like that. So.
Cool. So what made you decide to go the entrepreneurial way? Let's start that. I know you moved here, and throughout you learning how quote-unquote America and of course Atlanta has been the culture of it. what made you decide? Do you have family members? Was it something, did you go to school and went that route first and then decided that, and then how did you get into your business and the concept of it too?
Definitely. So entrepreneurship was really, it was one of those things that kind of fell in my lap. My parents weren't really entrepreneurial. They're, the typical worker. They were hardworking, but the entrepreneurship thing, as far as my, direct family, was a brand new thing. I'm kind of the first of my kind to step out of the labor cycle and do my own thing.
What did they want you to be?
I mean, the stigma for Africans, engineer, doctor, lawyer, that's what they,
I only bring that up because I applaud you for going against the grain and doing your own thing, despite what the traditional way of how we view, certain Africans to come over here. And then when you say, all right, well, you're not a doctor, you're not a lawyer. And that's why I asked the question, because that's a stereotype.
It is.
That sometimes needs to be addressed, but also shattered. So I applaud you for, going against the grain and paving your own way.
So I didn't fully go against the grain. So when I first was in school, I was in school for engineering.
Oh, really?
But I switched to I mean, it's you can only do so much when you're coming out of the household. But ended up switching to a business degree, information systems, which is computer science and business put together, which is kind of more aligned with my interests more than anything. Ever since I was young, my dad bought a computer one day. And it was a great toy that I played with, growing up when I wasn't outside or anything like that. I really just started playing around with the computer a lot and taught myself how to do several things. Like before I was even a teenager, I'd already created like a miniature video game. I've mastered PowerPoint, Excel, and I was just kind of like a scientist, but in the computer field. And again, back then, I didn't know the value of how important some of the stuff I was learning, teaching myself how to do. I just generally enjoyed doing it. Fast forward to later, some of those skills that I used back then still apply to me now when I'm creating several things on the computer with businesses. Obviously, with the advert of, the internet and information is shared more, a lot more easily now. More people have access to that. But back before, when the internet wasn't as prevalent as it was, I was one of the few kids that was actually going and learning out how to set up wireless networks and just doing everything with the computer. It's kind of crazy. I became kind of like the tech guy in my family, and it was really interesting on how that worked out, because again, I got so many intangibles from just being somebody that was a self-learner to being someone that learned a crazy skill set that you can apply to business, as business, especially moving nowadays and more towards technology more than anything. Once I learned how to do that, through the MySpace era, if you look back then, I don't know if they can even pull it up, my old MySpace page. Maybe not a good idea to pull it up. It's crazy. But I was able to take like the HTML codes and take it to a whole new level. Like the stuff that I was putting on my page was like insane, and through that I learned web development, because web development language was through HTML. And again, it just evolved to more and more things that I could apply. We fast forward into when I got into college. I had a friend that I grew up with that invited me to join him on his clothing brand. And for his clothing brand, he needed pretty much assistance with everything. So I was kind of like the partner in the clothing brand. I found myself doing several things, and it was a great experience by any means, because in addition to learning how to, do sales and, selling to a college student is one of the hardest things in the world. We don't have any money when we're in college. Right. But in addition to doing sales and, marketing and doing so many different things, I was also applying what I knew about technology. I did the website for the clothing brand. I was creating the graphics for the clothing brand. I was learning how to do public speaking. I was going door to door. I was, there was so many things that I learned in that experience. And I finally got to see the value of some of the stuff that I learned growing up as a kid and seeing where it applied.
Message.
Definitely.
The message that I want to make sure that we champion is how entrepreneurship gives you the ability to take your old experiences and old skills and dust them off.
100%.
And hopefully reinvent those skills, because everything, technology. I'm an engineer as well too. And the point being is that those skills are what makes entrepreneurship so worthwhile, because you get to bring back some stuff that you used to do in one instance or another,
Exactly.
and apply it to right now, which gives you the ability to be more independent,
Exactly.
and more cognizant about how and what skills to pick up in the future too.
Definitely.
So yeah, I just wanted to bring that message to all the
100%.
entrepreneurs out there, all the old stuff that you did. And this is something that I do with my clients, meaning how do I, lifestyle consultants, how do I take what they've been doing for 20, 30 years in their profession and translate it to this new lifestyle? Sometimes it's retirement, sometimes it's entrepreneurship. Either way, how do you convert those skills or experiences to utilize them right now where they're advantageous to you, and you start to value, school sometimes it has its advantages, whether it's the social skills and all that good stuff, but there's no substitution for experience. So I just wanted to make sure that we champion that you did, and just kind of give the entrepreneurs a idea of the old stuff that you used to have or used to do. But it also lays way to make sure that you're doing things that is complementing each other.
Definitely.
When it comes, everybody got their own hobbies and such, but it seems to me that you found out how those things that you did in the past, whether it's your passion or your interest, and then you got the business piece that was in college, and then the computer science, all that good stuff. It's up to a person to understand how to convert those experiences and skills to their everyday goings and coming as it relates to marketing your business and moving your business forward. So
100%.
That was long-winded, but
no, that was good. That's exactly what it is. I feel like those characteristics that you develop, those practices, those habits that you do, translate into things later on in life. You just have to figure out where it applies, and then if you can make money in the process, you're good. If you become really, really great at it, you most likely can make money in the process and whatever you like. You just have to be, I always tell people you need to be top 1% in the world at what you're doing. You can make money at it.
So let me ask you this. The name of your company, where did the name come from? That's one thing. And then if you can do just a one-liner of what your business is, what would it be?
Definitely. So the name of the company is the Fortune 5 Agency. And what we basically do is we make small businesses look like the top businesses in the world, aka the Fortune 500 companies.
Got it. So let's give an example, because I've seen your website, obviously. I've done some research, and I have some knowledge about how branding and what it entails look like. Can you give an explanation or an example of, all right, let's be real world, let's do Fresh Air.
Nice.
Meaning that this is a media production company, right? We do a whole host of things, but I know that we specialize in entrepreneurship.
Nice.
That's always going to be the foremost reason why I did most of the stuff. So how do you take this concept and, I guess, share with the world how you would approach this kind of business?
And that's a great question. But the great part is you've already done half the work, maybe even 80% of the work.
I appreciate that. I don't feel like that.
But no, it's big, because you have to identify your ideal client. One of the most important things that people never do in business, people always start a business, hey, I want to have a t-shirt brand. Okay, why? Because I want to have my own thing. You're not even thinking about who you're affecting, the market or anything like that. You want to have a business and have a target that has a need, and most people, once you get that out the way, now you can start creating mediums and activities and messaging towards targeting that market. I always give the analogy, if you have a magnifying glass is useless in the sun unless you focus it on one particular area, then it catches fire,
Absolutely.
So you have to create that
message.
So you have to create that focus more than anything, because you want to be able to give the most value to the people that can get the most value from your company. And that's the key to the foundation of any marketing campaign.
So if I can paraphrase, the term in marketing is called knowing your target demographics, right?
Yes.
And demographics out there, folks who may or may not know the jargon, which I didn't, as being in the business, of course, I learned. The point is that focus is generally based off of giving some thought about something, and then giving some more thought about something, and then questioning those thoughts about what that something is, and then finding out that is that something related to a supply and demand effect. That means that if you supplying something to somebody, you want to understand what the demand is. Now, what that demand is going to be heavily predicated sometimes off of your company going to the Fortune 500 level, or just being a mom and pop shop. And what that basically means is that if you don't know who you're going after, then it's hard to appeal to them. It's hard to do your marketing. It's hard to write the words. And then the psychological piece that goes with the buying experience of that demographics. You just throwing stuff out there. The color scheme, the font, all of these different things are, shout out to Cal Saldini, Power of Persuasion, and Robert Saldini. He's the one who put me on that path of just understanding, like you say demographics, but then you think about, okay, how do you approach your client and tell them how to think about this demographics? And it's all built off of psychology and certain things. How do people move? Why do they move? And the more that a person knows that about their clients, the better off you can appeal to them, speak to them in their language, show them stuff that they might appeal to them, that will obviously get them to move in the direction that you want them to move to. So that's big, and it's because it's being done to us every day, all day, going, coming, any and everything that you look at, from cities, states, worlds, all that good stuff is built off of getting eyeballs, getting people's thoughts and their attention. So, branding, specialists. Let's talk about that. And I'm saying that because I want to make it bite-sized for the folks that's listening, because they may or may not know, which I don't know, that's why you're here, what entails branding. That's one piece, but also encompassing your intellect, your technology background, and which includes understanding that you should entertain any of this stuff as it relates to the internet.
Definitely.
I mean, all this stuff is good, but as you know, web presence and social media presence is now key. So how do you, I guess, synergize the branding and the branding in today's time with technology?
Well, I mean, the good news is...
I act like I know what I'm talking about.
It's good, man. No, it's a great question, because branding, often people mistaking what branding is. You know, it's people think branding is sales or promotions or marketing or PR. You know, it's often, all those subjects are often intertwined and mixed with each other. But if I had to kind of tell you about the definition of what branding is, it's basically the perception of what people see whenever they see a touch point of your company. So that's your logo, that's a flyer, that's a color scheme, anything like that. You know, you want to make sure that the perception is something that you, again, understanding the psychographic, the demographic of your clients or your ideal clients, prospects, and stuff like that. You want to make sure that perception resonates with them on exactly how you want to target, exactly what you want them to feel, and what you want them to end up doing, what direction you want them to aim for, and everything like that. How it fits with today's world is the concept of branding, sales, marketing have never changed since the history of time. They've never changed. The only thing that changes are the tools we use to brand, marketing, sales, and everything like that. So when you're building a message, you know, back in the day, you know, they used to do the soapbox, and people used to say this, but what resonates with people walking by was, hey, they would normally do a soapbox in a high traffic area where they know a lot of people are going to come across their message. For the people that it resonates with, they're going to be more drawn to it. As they get closer to the soapbox, they now give them more information that resonates more and more with them. They foster them into the system. How that translates to today's time is you have an advertisement online. Someone, you know, like the Robert Cialdini, they raised their hand a little bit. Now they're moving a little bit closer to their brand. And, you know, that's pretty much a marketing funnel. It's the same thing. You're giving them slow pieces of content to move them closer and closer to your brand and everything like that. So again, it's the same concept, just different mediums that you use, and the same mediums will probably not exist again. But the concept of branding, marketing, sales will always be the same. When you're selling, it's all about relationship building. No matter if you use the phone, a telegram, what was the one, Skype, anything like that. You know, it just, the mediums will change, the tools will change, the concepts will never change.
Which brings me to my next question is, why would somebody need you? Mm-hmm. And then I will preface it with, I know why. Mm-hmm. Just having the conversations about a subject matter that I'm not familiar with.
Definitely.
Asking the right questions in the right way to pull the information out of an individual who haven't even formulated the right questions to ask him or herself, right? Mm-hmm. So especially in a field or a avenue such as the online presence, mm-hmm. which, as you know, as individuals sometimes get older, they get more non-receptive to the technology side of this. Definitely, so 100%. Can you speak to, like I said, why would somebody need your behind? You know, why would, and I know questions, but also projection, like asking the questions and then helping them understand what could be done later on, and then take it in bite size too. I think that's the approach. Maybe I should say that. So can you speak to that?
Definitely. And the truth is, it's a person's prerogative if they need them or not. I can just give examples of organizations that work and that don't work. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're familiar with the term of leverage, you know, that's being able to utilize the people around you so that you can get the maximum results of anything that's there. There's been no one-man show in any, you know, team sport. Every top organization, you know, the leader of the organization is not the one doing every bit of every single part of the organization. Like when you're first starting, it's okay. You may think you're invincible when you want to do the DIY, you know, I'm going to be the marketer, I'm going to be the salesperson, I'm going to be the customer support, I'm going to be doing all that. But no company that has true longevity is a one-man army. What I tend to offer is not only, the reason why people tend to work with me is because I give not only the resources and the knowledge to help them succeed, but I also help them work on their system so that they can scale and grow their business and everything like that. A lot of people, their talents aren't best spent trying to figure out how to do a website or trying to look at different options on how to create the best graphic and everything. Like sometimes their option is best spent doing public speaking engagements or not, you know. My job is to help people understand their business from a large scale and figure out all the mediums to help draw more people towards their brand. So I'm not expecting you to be the project manager. I'm expecting you to be the business leader and make the best decisions to push your organization forward.
Great, man. I appreciate you saying it in that manner because it speaks to me mm-hmm. about how it's a term called I would rather work on my business as opposed to in my business.
Exactly.
And what I believe Mambay is talking about is that at some point in time, you still gonna have to oversee all of these projects and or departments within your business. But it's also a time where you have to step back and find out, is this the best thing and the best way of me getting forward the projects or the results if I'm going to do it? Mm-hmm. Or do I get somebody else to do it? Well, why would you get somebody else? Because the efficiency, the fact that you're maybe ignorant to that subject matter, the fact that you do need specialists to actually ask you the questions. And that's the difference between you working in your business, meaning you have to do all of it with your limited knowledge and limited understanding, or you step back and say, well, what's the best approach to getting things done? And the best approach always is that the more people that's involved, generally speaking, and they know what they're doing, the less work they all have to do to get a certain result done. Yeah. And you want to be a manager of that process, mm-hmm. and it takes you, in some cases, being, humbled.
Exactly. There's actually a thing where I was actually with a client that was in business for like 30 years plus, you know, and to be fair, they've worked hard on their business. One of the hardest things to do is to, like you said, be humble, be able to say, okay, I need to swallow my pride and learn new methods and open my mind towards different ways to do things, because the world is changing. I can't be the same person I was 30 years ago, you know? So you're definitely right about that humble humility.
I will be remiss every time I do a podcast. I always have a question that I wish anybody and everybody would ask this question.
Yes.
Because it actually perpetuates the ability to find out how and what entrepreneurs go through. And the question is that at this point in time, what is it that you need in your business right now?
Definitely. Everybody needs the cash money for the business, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, all right.
But yeah. I mean, I'm playing, but you know, every business is always looking for more capital. But the main thing that any business needs is we just want better efficiency, better systems, better processes. I'm big on systems and processes. And so every day, even my small team that I have right now, I'm always drilling on how we can do stuff way better. You know, I'm big on quality control and constant improvement. So systems, processes, capital, those are the main things that are needed for the business.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I want to say that because most of the time, you, as an entrepreneur, you always going to need something. Inside of that need, I have the challenge myself of asking people to help you with that need. Because, you know, sometimes we have this island mentality of, I do it myself, but then things fall through the crack, or you don't think about it, and most of the time it's based off of fear.
Definitely.
You don't know how to do it, so therefore you're not going to entertain it. But that's not the right way to run your business, because it might be something intricate, or it might be something that can take your business to the next level.
Exactly.
Let's talk about, what do you think the temperature of entrepreneurship is in Atlanta? Like I said, I've only been here a year. Obviously, you've been here longer. You're, of course, ramping up your entrepreneurial career. Can you tell myself and the listeners what you think the temperature is, and speak freely?
Okay.
And yeah.
So when you say temperature, like,
do you think it's a lot of entrepreneurs? Do you think it's do you think they build a synergy? Do you think that they support each other? All of those different things.
Nice. One thing I can appreciate about Atlanta is a huge hub for not only regular entrepreneurs, but African American entrepreneurs as well too. I can say, like, honestly, from experience, there's so many different opportunities. You can go to the gym, you can go to the grocery store, you can go to anywhere. You can find someone who's been in business, who's just starting a business, who's able to connect you with multiple business owners. I definitely do think there's a level of synergy as far as volume of many businesses in the Atlanta area. I can't speak too much about the other parts of Georgia, but specifically Atlanta, it's so many different parts. Every major street you go to, even the smaller streets and stuff, you see entrepreneurs of all, women, children, everything you see. So it's a really great high focus of entrepreneurs, and it just keeps going up. If you look at a lot of the moguls and influencers, they have an event in Atlanta every other week. They have workshops, they have so many different things. So it's just a great environment. The temperature's pretty hot. It's just so many different opportunities. The only trouble with that is that sometimes with high volume, there's also saturation. So we have what we call sometimes the self-proclaimed entrepreneurs that, they put in their Instagram bio and they sell like a master class or something like that without any type of substance or experience. And you have your group of scammers and stuff like that. Again, I don't want to speak too loosely because I try not to associate myself with those type of groups. But, overall, it's just going to be one of those things where you're a city and it's high volume. You're always going to have those people that slip through the cracks and do different things. But overall, it's a great thing because it's just creating such a great ecosystem. You have different workspaces like the Gathering Spot, Commerce Club. There's so many different places where you can just really foster and grow as an entrepreneur in Atlanta. So it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, it's ideal for me because I'm seeing it through virgin eyes. I used to live here in 93, 94 for about a year or so with my brother, and I was different. Atlanta was different. Actually, I lived in Stone Mountain, so that was, different. My point being is that there's two things I wanted to address. One is that seeing Atlanta from my eyes on an entrepreneur, you're right. It's more food trucks. You can just be driving someplace and you can see a bunch of people over there where they just put an event together, and it's everywhere. And I enjoy that because it influences me on, why I ain't doing nothing, or why I don't know about that event, certain things like that. The other part is you brought up an interesting point, and we joke about it, especially in Chicago. And shout out to Darryl Petty in Chicago. We had a conversation about this, and the question is, what do you think is the temperature or the reasonings, or in your experience, the challenges that Africans have with, and then American brown people, black people have with the synergy of building relationships with each other? Meaning, I know sometimes cultures, win over everything. At the same time, I felt this phenomenon that, I'm from Chicago, and then I didn't have any qualms about, hey man, come on, let's do it. But I know that there are some challenges that have with how people perceive you, and then sometimes how you perceive them. Does that ever creep into your entrepreneurial lifestyle? And then can you speak to what your thoughts are?
Definitely.
If it is, then
it's a great question. Like you said, Atlanta has changed a lot. The world has changed a lot. Growing up, it was so much of the unknown when it dealt with trying to, connect or bridge Africans that are straight from the continent, and Black Americans, or anyway, you know what I'm saying? Because it was just so much of the unknown. You get a perception of like how they look on TV, how, so many people had preconceived notions about, what Africans were. And vice versa as well too, because
that you see. Put a pin in that, because I heard a story, man, and I don't know if this is true. Right?
Here we go.
The story is that from Nigeria.
Okay.
And they will go in to get their their citizenship.
Okay.
And they will get a briefing on how not to mess with the Black Americans. Is that true? Is there any validity to it?
Again.
Because I was flabbergasted, but it also lays weight to what you're saying.
Definitely.
From watching TV, getting your information, but then you're going into the very place that is going to give you your citizenship, and they tell you, look, don't be messing around with, does that have any truth to it? That's one thing. And then please,
right. Okay, so there's truth to that. I'm not Nigerian, but I can speak for every parent does that. When you're you go to a place, you better not go here. Don't touch the stove. You're gonna get burnt. It's more along the lines of that. It's not actually a hate that's built or anything. It's more of a cautionary thing. I can even tell you even funnier story. Other Africans actually do that with Nigerians too. And you would think it's just African Americans that some people discriminate, but there's actually Africans that know not to mess with some Nigerians as well too, because there are different levels of what people do, crime wise and stuff like that. I won't get too much into that. I have a lot of friends that are Nigerian. By no means am I saying every Nigerian is like that, but it's just preconceived notions that your parents tell you growing up to watch out for certain people and stuff like that. And that's just, again, because of lack of knowledge. It's ignorance. What I can say is that nowadays, more than anything, because of social media, because of connectivity with the world and everything like that, because of music, believe it or not,
True.
You're now seeing people accept it more. People bridged and accept, you go to every club in Atlanta, lounge in Atlanta now, even the radio, you're gonna listen to Afro beats more than anything. Before, for the longest, it was just Jamaican music, which is cool. You're halfway there. You know what I'm saying? But now you're seeing more acceptance of people overseas, and it's just a great time to be alive. Growing up, it was a little bit harder. They see your name on a sheet of paper, and it's like, okay, well, what's up with this guy? But now I always tell people this, that like, you know, my children are gonna actually be like the cool kids at the school now. So it's a pretty good, pretty good position to be in, you know, to have the culture.
The reason why I even bring that up is because I'm always thinking about entrepreneurship and people building relationships with folks and getting things done.
Definitely.
And if you have some of those stigmatisms or that classism going on, then sometimes it might stagnate business or people building relationships with folks. And I'm telling you, what you brought up a good point. The internet, music, the synergy between letting cultures interact with each other has and probably will continue to shatter some of those stereotypes. So yeah, I want to bring that up because you know people don't talk about that. I don't think, but I think that it's the issue that I have with is that how is it affecting business to business interaction? I mean, am I gonna mess with you because I think of these preconceived notions?
Sometimes.
And obviously that is.
Sometimes, yeah, like, you know, sometimes like if you see somebody with a weird name, are you gonna trust them with your $1,000? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where you have to be cautious, you know. And it's just like I said, a parent telling you to avoid the stove. You just got to be cautious. But, you know, definitely we've done a lot to, or, you know, the world and technology has done a lot to help ease that up a little bit. You know?
Last question. What is it that you are going for in the next year or two? And I ask that question because, you know, we all have goals. Sometimes it's 5 years. Sometimes I say 1 year to 2 years because that's something that somebody can help you with right now. It's not something that's projected. So yeah, can you ask that question? Fresh Aire Network podcast. You can always do a podcast with us.
Hey.
That's always a need for us.
You know.
And ideally, yeah, we want to make sure that we get that out there. So yeah, what's your projections for the next year or two as it relates to your business?
So as it relates to my business, the goals for the next few years, I actually repeat these goals every day, which is great.
Good job.
I want to be a top consultant. You know, I want to be able to go into situations and give people the blueprints on how to really, really work on their business to grow it online through marketing, sales, and systems. Plain and simple. I just want to be, when people look up the top names in Georgia or anything like that, as far as helping their business become a brand, I want to be one of those top consultants. That's pretty much the goal for the next few years.
Perfect. What is it that you may want to share with the audience right now? Is there any questions or insight or things, comments that you want to share with myself and the audience about what you got going on or what they should be aware of or look out for?
Definitely. One phrase that I always tell people is, fortune favors the bold. You know, you don't want to live your life full of regrets, that you didn't try, that you didn't push forward. Always look towards, you know, maximizing every aspect of your life. You know, don't, you know, sugarcoat things. Well, I guess sugarcoat is a different story, but don't undercut yourself when it comes to, you know, doing everything typically in your life, your workouts, your work itself, you know, how you treat your relationships with people and everything like that. Maximize every aspect of your life. Associate yourself with excellence and just always look for progression and improvement at every level.
That's what's up. So what we're doing here also was Mambay and I are going to develop a relationship as far as doing business with each other, and this was our pilot, if you will,
nice.
To give him an idea of what the production is for Fresh Aire Network Podcast Studio, but also get some information out there that I felt like I needed, and then how we can build synergy in front of you guys on how we're going to disseminate our relationship and our businesses to you guys. So podcast is, I always think, is a good way to introduce people, find out what they're really about. If you want to work with them, do they even know what they're talking about? What their energy is like, and more importantly, what relationships do they have that they have forged and will forge, and maybe you can tag along with them or get some of that experiences they've had and relationships and resources. And this is, I believe, the way Fresh Aire Network Podcast is going to do it. Be looking out for him. Actually, tell them how they can find you, website. Now I'm going to edit this, so that means that your name going to be down here anyway.
Got you. You can find me on Instagram at the Brand Craftsman. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find my name right there.
Can you spell it for him just in case?
It's the Brand Craftsman. TheBrandCraftsman on all networks. In my actual agency page, just click the link. You'll find everything out. I tell you what.
Perfect. So, man, I appreciate you.
No problem.
I'm not sure how long this is, but like I said, we just wanted to give you an example of how we can do it, and this can be anywhere, as you know. And I want to thank you, for following up and coming through and sharing with you guys what our brand specialists, why you may need them or why you should have them, but more importantly, you have a person now that you can put the face with that actual concept. So, Fresh Aire Network Podcast Studio, Kevan, Ware, thank you again.